Hello, Carl here with Sustainability Theory News. We're over at ecofarmingdaily.com, and they have an article written by Joel Salatin, Polyface Farms out in Virginia. Farming Success, Salatin's Top 10 Markers. A lot of details in this article. I'll link to it in the description so you can read more about it. So we'll just go over them quickly. Develop one enterprise well before adding others. So he talks about how becoming a specialist and really focusing your efforts on building one profitable farming enterprise while you do some experiments and trial balloons in other areas before you really ramp up and scale up those operations. Now, a lot of farms you're going to want to have multiple sources of income anyway because you want to diversify those income streams. But focus on your strengths first, find your core business. Two, find people that complement your weaknesses or interests. He talks about how he hates accounting and how his wife has helped him in that regard. First his father, then his wife. He also talks about how his son hates the garden, the horticultural aspect of the business, and rather work with the livestock. So he found a former intern to take over the horticultural garden, and basically she just pays rent in the form of certain varieties of vegetables and fruits that the Salatins want to eat for themselves, and then she sells the rest, earning the profit, sort of working on commission. Number three, close the carbon cycle loop. So talks about how you want to become a net energy producer rather than consumer in ways basically adding as much carbon to the soil rather than taking it away, insourcing your carbon material rather than outsourcing and bringing in compost and manure and whatnot. So trying to have a completely closed carbon cycle loop on the farm because that's what builds stronger soils. All right, number four, develop your tribe. So this is people who may know, like, and trust you already, or people you want to build a stronger community with. Maybe it's a church group, a political group, maybe it's just strictly your family, but it's also your customers. So working with people who really love what you're doing and will stick with you throughout it. Number five, prototype with small trial balloons. We talked about that already. Do little test operations before you invest wholeheartedly into big operations or big expensive equipment. Number six, efficiency. He talks about how some farmers, they take a lax stance when it comes to efficiency. They think that because what they're doing is so good for the world and society that they don't have to treat it like a business. And it is a business. If you don't make money, you're not going to be a farmer for very long. You're going to have to make money and gather resources somehow. So he also talks about how he created a guide and operating procedure manual, and only 1 out of 10 interns would actually look at the allotted time that it usually takes for a task and try and beat it. And those are the ones that are usually successful on their own operations, trying to improve their time for certain tasks. Number seven, value add and increase margins. Talks about the difference between producing for the commodities market and producing for the value added market. Value add is basically finished products or goods. Instead of selling whole cows to a slaughterhouse, you might slaughter it yourself and maybe even process it into sausages for even more value addedness. It does increase profit margins, but it usually does require substantially larger capital outlays at the beginning. So investing in equipment or training, basically. And multiple use infrastructure. He talks about the beauty of pole barns, how you can the structure's weight is supported by the pole, so you can knock out walls, move around interior walls. You can really reconfigure entire buildings. And it also talks about if you buy a $150,000 combine, you basically turn into a manufacturing business, and you have to keep that machine running as much as possible in order to pay those overhead costs. And also talks about how if they get a tractor, it's going to be a four-wheel drive tractor with a front end loader, so the same machine can operate multiple tasks. As you scale, stay true to your identity. In other words, don't sell out. The core customers in your tribe will help you stay connected, but if you alienate them by moving away from maybe the sustainable farming practices that you started with, well, people may start to leave your customer base, your tribe. And 10, pay your team members. There's a lot of permaculture practitioners and sustainable farmers that rely heavily on unpaid interns and apprenticeships. Well, yeah, that might be good for a week or two. I may even participate in some of those shorter programs myself. But you really don't get great employees from unpaid internships and apprenticeships. People need to have some skin in the game. They need to either maybe invest some of their own money for a potential huge gain down the road, sort of like an intrapreneurship program, or maybe it's just a salary with a little bit of commission. And of course, he talks about praise. Dole out a lot of praise. It's the cheapest way to compensate people. Of course, you give them tips, give them bonuses as well, give them opportunities to earn more money. Of course, I will link to this page in the description so you can read more about it. And if you'd like to see more news headlines like this, subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.